Thank you for staying with us. Our next guest is going to be speaking to us about men and society. And the way we view men, we view abuse that is, done against men, the way we view their vulnerability. Joining us via Zoom is Mr. Rhondall Feeles, who is the president of the Single Fathers Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome and thank you for joining us on AM Prime this morning, Mr. Feeles.
Morning. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Nice. Now, last week we focused on men, vulnerability. We spoke to Dallas and Charles, and we talked about that a lot. But we really want to speak to you in terms of society's view of things and how that impacts or is affected by the laws that we have in the country. So, in particular, we have a situation last week where someone would have, entered a vehicle, would have, been robbed, would have been abused, reported it. And then we saw on social media the outpour of comments, against this thing that was done to this person and the way persons viewed it. Talk to us about that and just the history of this that we've been seeing.
Well, yeah, society has a big part on to play when it comes to the way that men are viewed. Are we victims or are we only the perpetrators? It's weighed heavily on the way that we perceive even posts being made as well. And that very post here, I'm pretty sure you'd have seen a lot of commenters making fun of it, laughing or heckling and a lot of these things as well. Whereas in the vice versa scenario, had it been a woman, you'd have seen empathy, sympathy, care, concern. And that's it. Society, for some reason, really don't see men as victims. And men also don't see themselves as victims because of this. You're always told to be tough, to be strong, which are good things as well. Let's not say that's bad at all. But the thing is, we need to now go deeper into what is strength. We need to go deeper into what victimhood looks like. Who can be a victim? We are all victims of so many different things. We are all human beings, and once you're a human being, you're susceptible for a lot of things that are very similar. We often try to always differentiate between maleness and femininity, but we are very similar in many ways, both emotionally, and I mean in some ways even physically as well. So I think we need to reframe and restructure and really do a lot of introspection personally and then together as a people, as into the way we view things pertaining to men, sensitive topics, as we say, like sexual crimes being perpetrated against men, even sexual crimes that men are accused of as well. And sometimes and physical crimes that men are accused of as well. Some crimes, it is public knowledge that if a claim is made or an allegation is made against a man, he's automatically deemed as though he's guilty, sometimes without having evidence to support it. Or there's this ideology in your mind that, hey, this is a man, so more likely than not, he may have committed or perpetrated this crime. It may be because historically we've seen research saying that a man may be more prone to do this than a woman, and we've allowed these things to impair and impact our judgment. So the view is changing society's way of thinking is a great challenge. But some people that come out of society must be able to rise above those challenges because it is their job spec and it is their mandate to do so.
How do we change?
Persons doing education, persons doing social work, persons who make up juries, judges, they cannot allow those societal views to impact or impair their judgments because many a time they may either not assess or adjudicate in the manner that they should.
Right. And I know we're talking on a governmental level as well as in office. How do we in the home, starting with us in the home, how do we change this view, raise our young men to understand that they are human, that, they can go through things, that they can face abuse. These things they're not susceptible to these things. How do we go about changing the way they think about these things and view these things? And as well as our young women.
I think there's a lot of introspection to be done. There's a lot of unlearning to be done. And you don't have to go to school to do that type of unlearning. Because by doing that unlearning, you actually are educating yourself as well. You have to become realistic with age and, via experience or seeing other person's experiences. You must now analyze and actually try to figure out the way that you think. I will use an example that is right now very, very ticklish in the social media space. You would have seen, because I do this with myself, you would have seen a man and a woman fighting, and you would have heard a woman saying, I need help me, somebody call the police. But when you really look at the video, it is the man wrestling with the woman to remove a hammer from her hand.
Okay.
So even I, at first, when I saw it, I said, well, why this man abusing this woman? So I had to sit back because of the experience I have. I had to sit back, introspect, and then look at the facts and details that was taking place. Was he abusing her? Was he trying to remove the hammer from her care, from her possession? Is a hammer a deadly weapon? Was she saying threatening things when she had the hammer in her hand? And then I came to another conclusion. But it is because we are driven by our emotions, and we are driven so much sometimes by things that has happened historically. Many of us, myself included, have seen our mothers being abused by our fathers. So sometimes a man speaks a certain way, whether it may at the end of the day after proper analysis be deemed self-defense for him, we still subliminally, because of our personal experience, say, nah, he abusive because he's a man. He should never do that. He should never do this. He should never say this. He should never. And this is where I'm coming from. We personally, even before, or even for us to be able to teach this type of thinking to our children, need to sometimes unlearn some of the messages we heard. Messages like a man should never hit a woman, which is factual, but we've never seen the messages that a woman should never hit a man also. Nobody, that whole message should be redirected to no one should put hands on anyone else. And we have not many a time unlearned what we've learned. And because of that, it impacts the way we make decisions, it impacts the way we make personal assessments and judgments. And it's very dangerous because as I identify those specially selected persons like judges, social workers, jurors, all these people who have to be non-biased, if they do not find a way, or the training isn't provided to them to neutralize some of their personal biases based on their experiences in their life, they could do a disservice when it comes to justice to both men and women.
How do we impact the office? How do we impact these positions and, get them to see the reality of the situation and how severe it is? And also talk to us about the work that you've been doing with the Single Fathers Association and how you've been making steps towards this.
But the main way to make them to impact those persons at that level is to call them out when you see they behave badly, call them out when they make bad judgments, call them out when they are biased, call them out. And that is the position and the purpose of the advocate. Not to be loved at every time they say everything, to often be misunderstood at times also, but to be factual, accurate, and bring your point home. And that is why I would have at times people who agree with me and times people who disagree with me, no problem. But at the end of the day, sometimes having that uncomfortable position or discussion here publicly to drive people forcefully out of their traditional ways or perceptions or views that have been inculcated subliminally into their mind is the only way you get them to see differently. Not because you're a judge, or not because you may be a lawyer, or not because you may be a minister. It means that you've even treated or dealt with that type of thinking.
Yeah.
And not until some advocates from a position that appears controversial, but then you decide to sit back, introspect, and say, I don't like this man all the time, but what he says makes sense. And then you now start redirecting your thought process, your thought patterns. And then you would start to see things clearly yourself and be able to explain to other persons as well.
Right. Talk to us a bit about the Single Fathers Association and the work that you're doing.
Well, as we said, our main thing at this point is advocacy, because we've done the men calling outreach. We've done persons in need of hampers and assistance. We've done, the things that we've stood out most was advocated, seeing things like in social welfare where fathers weren't allowed public assistance, seeing it now be a possibility, seeing things like court pay come into fruition where men and women have to go and line up to collect child maintenance. Now it's now electronically done.
Yes.
But then being able to change rhetoric, being able to gather research and prove the point that we were saying that men, based on their gender, were being treated inequitably in courts. We have the anecdotal evidence to support these things now. So based on that, I think we have been a strong powerhouse, but very uncomfortable and sometimes in many cases very, distasteful to some people on the things that we highlight, and we've been very good at highlighting non-biasedly, unbiasedly rather, and fairly. Because the thing is, it's not about, as I continue to say, pushing fatherhood over motherhood or motherhood over fatherhood. It's about parenting. It's about getting it right. It's about co-parenting. It's not about saying who will win in court. At first, when we started, we thought it was just about fighting for an equitable position before a court. But it's bigger than that. It's about getting people to not want to go to court, getting people to understand the value of our father, getting people to understand the value of our mother, and how either party contributes to the benefit of the child, so that we as mature adults could shelve our past issues. You cheat on me, fine. You do me that, fine. Let us shelve it now. We already ended our relationship for whatever issue we had intimately. Let us come together. Let us co-parent. Let us be the best parents we could be for that child who did nothing and is now in a splintered family relationship. So I think our advocacy point, due to the fact we've been able to be unbiased, straight down. If it's a man wrong, he wrong. If it's a woman wrong, she wrong. I think we are one of the few groups that could boast that, and then the evidence would support that we've always supported the right thing opposed to what goes based on an agenda.
Yeah. Talk to us about some of the outreach initiatives that you've been doing, whether it's in schools or the community, and how persons can get involved in this if they want to be a part of the association, to become an ally, to lend support in any way.
Well, we've done a lot of outreach, as I said, via phone at times. Because of our limited capacity and resource, we still don't make excuse. What we tell people is to meet us where we are now in hubs and in groups. Everyone enjoyed for the last decade. They've been able to call and get Mr. Feeles on the phone, call and get Mr. Grant, call and get Mr. Anderson. And I could tell you, I've seen, for that type of calling, I've seen where it impacts the officers themselves. And I am the one who said, yeah, we can't do this anymore. We have to do this on a group basis. And on every single Thursday night, we have an outreach, video outreach via Facebook Live on my page where persons could log on, type in their information, let us know what's wrong. We also have a Telegram chat that we've now started. Persons could get on to the Telegram chat, so they'll continue to send us their issues and we'll reach them via text on the Telegram chat as well, where it comes to that level of outreach. We have the website that we've just launched this year as well, www.tfatt.com. And I encourage people to use that website and do not be lazy and think I could only get help if I call and get somebody on the phone. We have scores of video tutorials there. We have seminars there. We have joint select committee hearings there. We have issue papers there. A lot of research. And one of the reasons we devised that is because at the point in time when I started this, there was nowhere in the region that you could find any type of information pertaining to fatherhood at all, or to parenting rather, not even motherhood. So that is why we developed this website and encourage people to use it. People have to seek their own interests. You cannot expect that, all right, when an issue comes up on me, let me find somebody's number only to call. You have to have that level of proactiveness, so that even before you end up in an issue, you may be married now, you may not even have a child, but go to the website, educate yourself. You can help a friend, and each one has to reach one. It can't be 4 or 5 selected persons if we really want to have change or make great impact in the thinking in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Before we wrap up, what advice would you give to young men, men in general, who may be facing issues where they may be abused, whether it's physically, emotionally, sexually, and they want to go and they want to go and talk about these crimes. They want to go and report it, but what happens in terms of society, and in the midst of it not changing at this point, what advice would you give to them?
You're a man. A man is a human being. A man is susceptible. A man must be receptive. We've heard all the definitions of manhood and manliness, and it's always the machismo. But men need to know how to receive as well, and it's something that we have challenges with. So we have to learn to be receptive. We have to learn to receive love. We have to learn to understand that we could be victims as well. Receive help, go for help. Nothing wrong with asking for help. It's not, you only need help when even for our health, sometimes we hesitate to go for help until it's on the last straw.
Yeah.
We need to understand that we are human beings and we need help as anybody else. So there's no wrong, there's no injustice, there's nothing to be ashamed about, there's nothing to be feel scornful of if you go and you get assistance.
Okay, we appreciate you. Tell us again the website for persons who would want to check out and get information.
www.tfatt.com.
Great.
Fathers Association, Trinidad and Tobago. Right, so tfatt.com.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Feeles, for joining us. We take a quick break. When we come back, we have lots more in store for you.